Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. I want to start out this video by saying that I've been working with others who have been dedicated to finding out the truth behind the Nicola Bulley case. Someone approached me by email after noticing I was going down the same route he was on. So the next series of videos is simply going to be my take on information that he has provided in a substack, which will be linked in the description box below. This next series of videos is basically going to be me helping him reach a bigger audience, and I'm willing to do this because I feel the exact same way about this situation. In fact, I have made videos discussing a lot of the same things. He has taken it a step further. He has actually attempted to have correspondence with Lancashire police and some of the even higher ups, and he's basically been given the big F you. And this has only further propelled the question of what is being concealed. If you want to see the direct content, the link will be, like I said, in the description box below. It's called Chris's Substack. This is not the same Chris who helped me with some video editing. This is a totally different person. There you can find all the receipts and documents that he has linked to his blogs. You can also subscribe to his Substack and you can get notifications every time he puts out another blog about this case. For those of you who've been watching my videos from the beginning of this case, a lot of this may sound familiar. However, it isn't being absorbed and it isn't being shared to a wide enough audience. And the best way for this to happen would be for you to like this video and to share it. Also to comment and subscribe. Now, if you're only viewing my videos for this case, that's okay. You can unsubscribe when I stop covering it. But for the time being, not enough people are seeing my videos. So if you feel that there is value in what I have to say with my Nicola Bulley content, really all you need to do is like it. YouTube will see that and YouTube will push my videos out so that more people have a chance to view it. That's just how the YouTube algorithm works. They look at likes, comments, and subscriptions in order to decide whether or not they're going to push your video out to a larger audience rather than just the people already subscribed to you. So if you feel like more people need to see my content, that's really all up to you guys. Just click those few things. But let's get on to it. I hope you guys are having a great week. Hope you guys are all doing okay. This is going to be part one, and we're just gonna get right into it. Nicola Bulley disappeared on the morning of Friday, January 27th in the small village of St. Michael's on Wyre and was missing for 23 days. Her body was subsequently identified by a senior coroner using dental records on the afternoon of Monday, February 20th. It is a matter of public interest that Lancashire Constabulary be independently investigated for their role in concealing the truth behind a terrible crime that has been committed. And of course, this is all in my opinion, and I'm obviously not the only one who believes this. As I said, I have met someone who not only feels the same way, but who has dug and dug and dug into this to prove it. Now, has it been proven? Well, that's up to you. Everybody has their own opinion, but it is my opinion that something is going on here and that an independent investigation does need to be launched. The senior investigating officer for this investigation, we all know, is Detective Superintendent Rebecca Smith. On Wednesday, February 22nd, the Police and Crime Commissioner, Andrew Snowden, commissioned the College of Policing to undertake a full and independent review. He made a statement indicating a cover-up, and that statement is, quote, "The hypothesis of the police investigation on how Nicola went missing was sadly proven to be correct," unquote.
I'm also concerned that in a modern policing era, in a policing investigation that was sadly correct in its hypothesis all the way along, in which officers predicted correctly, very sadly, even the day that Nicola's body would tragically be found. And yet it became such a story, particularly in the national papers, about bungling, incompetent cops. Yet they were right all along.
A simple dictionary definition of cover-up is an attempt to prevent the public from discovering information about a serious crime. Senior coroner, Dr. James Adley, for Lancashire and Blackburn scheduled a full-day inquest hearing for Friday, June 26th at County Hall in Preston. The purpose of any inquest is to determine where and when a death occurred, as well as how it occurred. A coroner can legally certify a medical certificate of cause of death, or an MCCD, if investigated, either through autopsy, inquest, or both. The Lancashire Constabulary issued refusal notices to Freedom of Information requests pertaining to the case of Nicola Bulley on the grounds that, quote, the information is felt to be exempt from disclosure under the FOI. A formal complaint against Lancashire Constabulary is being submitted to the Independent Office for Police Conduct, or IOPC, and circulated to the media with particular emphasis on the charge of corruption and cover-up of all matters relating to Nicola Bulley's death. So what is the basis for this complaint? Well, the Lancashire police, with all the significant resources committed to searching for Nicola Bulley, claimed that, 1, there was no third-party involvement in her disappearance, that she had gone into the river adjacent to the bench area within a 10-minute window prior to her dog Willow and mobile phone being found at 9:33 a.m. on Friday, January 27th, and 2, that her body was recovered downstream on Sunday, February 19th, after a call was placed by a psychic medium to the police at 11:36 a.m. that morning. In this video, I am going to show how the entirety of the official narrative will be shown to be absurd to such an extent that it removes any question of police negligence, leaving only police corruption that must be addressed. Now, at the beginning of all these things, I thought, okay, the police just massively screwed this up, or they're covering something up. My thoughts and views on this have never changed. And I'm hoping that with what I'm telling you today, you will see why I feel this way. That I will stop being called immature or whatever else people want to say I'm being when it comes to this case. All the evidence gathered during this investigation has been kept under lock and key, away from public eye, which in my opinion shows corruption. It almost can prove corruption, but like I said, I'm never going to say I'm proving anything. This is all, I'm giving you information. You guys are going to decide on your own. Now, all of this taken in together, an in-depth review of the police with their preposterous hypothesis and claims, the press conferences, their laissez-faire approach to the entire investigation, all the way from the very beginning of Nicola Bulley's disappearance, show a few things. 1, that the original crime scene and associated riverside bench area was staged. 2, Nicola Bulley's movements throughout the investigation remain unknown. Eyewitness accounts are false, either fabricated or using phony witnesses or even both. And the final crime scene and discovery of her body in a remote location adjacent to Rawcliffe Road was staged as well. Now, let's talk about some unanswered questions. And I have actually already brought this up in a prior video, and I've gotten all sorts of flack for it, but I honestly don't care. I haven't gotten caught up in all this hype and the popularity contest surrounding this case. I have investigated things thoroughly, and I am working with other people who have been investigating this case thoroughly as well. So the information that I am bringing to you has been thoroughly investigated. You can make any comments that you'd like in the comment section about me, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care. Okay? I'm going to point out some things to you that are facts. They happened. Okay? And what you decide to do with that, or what you decide to think about it, is all up to you. And we're going to start with this. Lancashire Police Superintendent Sally Riley held a police conference. We're going to go all the way back here to Monday, January 30th. This was 4 days into the investigation, whereby the police were still sticking to their first, and may I add, false, timeline that continued until Wednesday, February 1st. Again, I've made a video about this, and it's okay if you didn't see it because we're going to go over this all again a little bit more in depth. This press conference centered around a 9:15 a.m. eyewitness claim of 2 people on the river path. Quote, she being Nicola, was laughing and joking with them as she went by, unquote. Superintendent Sally Riley, in response to a journalist's question, let slip as to the police's true intentions on undertaking a thorough investigation. The journalist asked, quote, "How do you think she being Nicola, got to St. Michael's? Because her home is probably 3 miles away," unquote. Sally Riley responds, quote, "I'm not aware of how she got from her home area to the village, but we believe she made it on foot with the dog to the towpath," unquote. Now, here are the questions, and let me remind you, we have never had answers to any of the questions that I am going to ask within this video, and these are just basic questions. 1. Why was Sally Riley, officer in charge, not aware of the basic case information at the press conference 4 days into a missing person investigation? Number 2, who were the 2 individuals that provided false eyewitness statements? And number 3, what are the reasons that necessitated a new timeline a week after Nicola's disappearance? Next, we'll talk about the Lancashire Police second press conference on Friday, February 3rd. And this press conference outlined a revised timeline of events, either due to being poorly scripted or not adequately rehearsed. The police have since all but broadcast the bench area to be a staged scene associated with something that took place elsewhere. Superintendent Sally Riley at the press conference says, quote, "Therefore, the time that we are particularly interested in is between 9:10, the last confirmed sighting, and 9:20, when Nicola's phone was found on the bench. Sorry, not found on the bench. When Nicola's phone was on the bench, believed to be on the bench, found at around 9:33 a.m., unquote." Now that's all a direct quote. Now, we've talked about some of the word salad that was created by DSI Rebecca Smith, and I pointed out how when I read back to you what was said during this press conference, verbatim, it sounds like a jumbled hot mess. I'm going to read this quote from Sally Riley again from start to finish. Quote, "Therefore, the time that we are particularly interested in is between 9:10, the last confirmed sighting, and 9:20, when Nicola's phone was found on the bench. Sorry, not found on the bench, when Nicola's phone was on the bench, believed to be on the bench, found at around 9:33 a.m., unquote. That's all I'm going to say about that. Superintendent Sally Riley at a later update meeting on Tuesday, February 7th, said, quote, "We have now identified around 700 vehicles that drove through the village on that morning of the 27th of January at around 9:10 to 9:15 a.m. And we're in the process of speaking to all of those drivers to find out if they have any dash cam footage or what they saw on that day," unquote. Now, this may sound like diligent police work, but at the final press conference on Wednesday, February 15th, DSI Rebecca Smith makes clear a cover-up has taken place, in my opinion, and that the police know full well Nicola Bulley was never in that river. She said, quote, "From digital data, that at some time around 9:20 a.m., we believe that Nicola's handset had moved toward the bench area," unquote. This is such a key phrase that, in my opinion, screams third-party involvement. If Nicola didn't put her phone there, then who did? The reference to her handset moving in the fields and not Nicola herself, together with the police investigation focusing on her possible movements and sightings prior to that time, confirms the phone is believed to have been in the possession of an unknown third party. Therefore, the bench area was staged. Can I make it any more clear? I'm getting riled up now because it's like, hello. Now, let's talk about some unanswered questions with this. 1, why is the phone location data not provided prior to 9:20 a.m.? 2, what does it reveal? And 3, what are the police concealing? Now, this second fake scripted timeline also comes apart in regards to Superintendent Sally Riley's statement at the earlier press conference of a quote-unquote confirmed sighting at 9:10 a.m. because this refers to a fake eyewitness account initiated off of a police appeal for a then unknown individual on Tuesday, January 21st, culminating with a false eyewitness account reported via the Times by the wife of a local resident of Rowanwater who had come forward. But it must be noted that it was also reported elsewhere in the media that this gentleman confirmed to officers that he had not seen Nicola on the day that she disappeared. Now, this is of significant concern, is it not? DSI Rebecca Smith, unconvincingly and presumably instructed to do so, maintained the deception of this key aspect to the official narrative at the final press conference on Wednesday, February 15th, when she said, quote, "At approximately 9:10 a.m., a witness that knows her had the last sighting, and that was at the upper field. When I say approximate time, it is that, but we are basing that on, obviously, the times that we can say that the witness left the field. So I'm quite confident it is around that time." You guys, again, Rebecca Smith is using words such as approximate, approximately, yet she's also using obviously, and I'm quite confident, and then she closes the whole statement with, "It's around that time." How is anything confirmed? How can you be confident of an approximate time? I mean, it is what it is, right? It's approximate. They can't be sure. The questions, again, unanswered in regards to this. Why are there multiple false eyewitness accounts? I have made videos about it before. What purpose do they serve? How did they become part of a fabricated timeline? And lastly, again, what is being concealed? DSI Rebecca Smith was identified as Senior Investigating Officer on Monday, January 30th, the same day as the first press conference. And she has never changed position from her main working hypothesis of Nicola having gone into the river by the bench area. In addition to it being made clear that the bench area has been staged, which I feel I have done, it's never been disputed that not one single piece of evidence exists to indicate that Nicola nor her dog Willow had ever gone into the non-tidal section of the river. An unprecedented number of river search resources had been deployed.
Drones, underwater drones, and so on, as well as specialist dogs.
Helicopter, police divers, sonar equipment, pole cameras, search dogs, with additional support received from the Coast Guard and other external professionals. The expert, Peter Falding, concluded in an interview on February 20th, quote, "There's no way she's gone into the river at this point by the bench. It's too shallow, and she wouldn't have drowned at that point, and she wouldn't have got washed under the weir. And I can say that, and I'm happy to do a test at any time to prove that she couldn't have gone in at that point," unquote. He also said, quote, "I can categorically say from our sonar footage, which I've since reviewed, Nicola was not laying on the riverbed," unquote. Now, again, I'm going to leave that there for you, and I'm not going to say anything more about it because I believe it speaks for itself. Questions. Who instructed DSI Rebecca Smith to dream up this fallacy of an accidental river incident 4 days into the investigation when identified as SIO? Who instructed DSI Rebecca Smith to defend the absurdity of maintaining this narrative at all costs? And again, what is being concealed? Lancashire police constantly reminded the public that this was not a crime inquiry, and Rebecca Smith didn't hold back in driving this point home at the press conference on Wednesday, February 15th, when she said, quote, "Not a single piece of information or evidence suggests that there is any third-party involvement," unquote. Later in the same conference, in order to ensure that the media had what they were required to print their stories, after all, repetition is key, quote, "There is no evidence whatsoever or information, and there has been a vast amount reviewed, I can assure you, to suggest any third-party involvement or Nicola leaving that field," unquote. Need I remind everyone, the bench area was never sealed off by police for forensic examination that morning, and neither had they checked any CCTV. So only the fantasy that the police created Could they assert that there was no third-party involvement or crime having taken place? The police continued to maintain this act consistent with no crime, and consequently no real investigation either. And to illustrate this, here's an example. It seems incredulous that a caravan park set in 7 acres, less than 200 meters from the bench area, wouldn't be searched by officers for more than 2 weeks after Nicola's disappearance. Plenty of unoccupied, static caravans, with the site closed at that time, remember, because it was off-season, together with CCTV at the back of the park that wasn't working, but would have quote-unquote seen everything if it had been working. This sole example is strictly to show the farce of the claim about having the first clue about Nicola's movements. Taking into consideration other factors, it's improbable that this is due to police negligence alone. DSI Rebecca Smith's account is a smokescreen, propping up a fictitious version of events from the same final press conference. Quote, "There were a number of dog walkers in the area, and we've been extremely fortunate from the very start of this inquiry to have a number of witnesses, key witnesses, who know Nicola. So there is no miscommunication about the identification of who was in that field. And also, we viewed a substantial amount of CCTV. Again, whilst we can't cover the whole area with CCTV, we've been really fortunate in that we've had a lot, which has really been able to help us in pinning down both Nicola's movements and also the movements of key witnesses, which is why we were able to give a timeline of events quite quickly," unquote. Well, both timeline of events are false, but even by the police's own admission, the first timeline lasted 7 days before being revised, making the DSI statement a bold-faced lie. There has never been anyone positively identified as having been in that field other than local residents that made the discovery and raised alarm. Nor has there ever been any CCTV released of Nicola, nor any other key witnesses, only still images of individuals that unequivocally confirm not to have seen Nicola Bulley that morning. It remains common knowledge that there are a number of blind spots due to no full CCTV coverage, and also 2 of the existing cameras in proximity weren't operational at that time. Questions. Why does DSI Rebecca Smith claim the police were able to pin down Nicola's movements in the absence of any genuine eyewitness accounts or CCTV footage? Just a question. Answer it. Please, answer it. If I'm so full of it and immature, answer that question. Why were the police looking for dash cam footage from passing cars if there exists reliable evidence to place Nicola in the fields? I mean, you got to take the words said in these press conferences. They're basically telling you they're full of shit. They're wanting dash cam footage, but they have just said that they know she was in the fields. Well, if they know she was in the fields, then why would they be looking for dash cam footage during the same exact time that she's in the fields? And we know this. We are confident she was in the fields at this time. Yet we want CCTV footage out on the roads. Lancashire police have made I feel my blood pressure rising, you guys. My cheeks feel like they're getting all hot. Lancashire police have even made efforts to obfuscate the evidence surrounding how Willow and Nicola's mobile phone came to be found and the alarm raised, other than to assure the public that it was at a very precise 9:33 a.m. There's considerable speculation in numerous accounts surrounding who found what and where at what time. For something so fundamental, the concealment of these basic facts speaks volumes. DSI Rebecca Smith at the February 15th press conference, purposefully vague, said, quote, "Following a number of inquiries, eventually, people return to the bench, recover the handset and Willow, and we find out that obviously they belong to Nicola." Questions. Okay then. DSI Rebecca Smith, at what actual time was the original discovery then? This was Nicola's regular dog walk. How can it be claimed by the police that nearby residents didn't recognize Willow, who was also wearing her dog tag, And for those of you who are saying that the dog tag wasn't there, the dog tag was there on Willow's collar. Also, the lead, that neon yellow lead, it was never missing. Paul was using that very same lead during his interview with Dan Walker when they were walking Willow outside of Marsh Farm. How did the first-hand statements provided by the local residents involved compare to the ambiguous and contradictory reports issued by the police and reported on by the media? The scene of the bench area was staged in order to be discovered, but what is being concealed? Turning to police operations of Sunday, February 19th, they too had the appearance of being part of a script without any semblance of reality. And I've talked about this in a prior video as well. And I hate to beat a dead horse here, but there are things that some people are just not getting, and maybe I'm not explaining it correctly. So this video, well, this series of videos is my final attempt before moving on to some other things about this case that point to the exact same thing, a cover-up. It's just the evidence to support it. But we'll get to that in a different video. Let's get through this video first, so stay with me. People are expected to believe that Lancashire police, off the back of nothing more than a telephone call placed at 11:36 a.m. from a psychic medium using his gift, immediately deployed resources, including a police helicopter. After a search, this then led to the recovery of a body early that afternoon, all while captured in real time by freelance photographers who are in exactly the right remote location at exactly the right time. Why was a psychic medium asked to scramble down the bank of a potential crime scene that bore all the hallmarks of a staged photo shoot? What were the specialist officers, who were unaware of being filmed, joking about that was so funny while in the process of recovering a dead body, a dead mother? As with the initial disappearance, why no forensic examination? No crime scene established, and the area simply reopened to the public on completion of removal of the body. It's unknown who prearranged for these photographers to be unseen. What contact did the police have, if any, with the press or the photographers when the initial call was received? There is much more to come, you guys, but I want to keep each video brief. So it really is hard to identify if Lancashire police left any stone unturned in diverting the public's attention away from the true account of what happened to Nicola Bulley. But in the process, they are solely responsible for the media circus and online abuse that friends, family, and local residents of St. Michael's have been on the receiving end of. And I talked about this in another video. They never once made any direct appeals to social media when they said that they were upset with what was being said. They directly accused Sky News and a couple other local mainstream media outlets for spinning their words and starting rumors and falsely reporting things. Now, I'm not saying that certain people on social media didn't go haywire with rumors. That happens with every single case. But in my opinion, a lot of that is the direct fault of Sky News and the police themselves for not clearing up certain information that would not have been damaging to any investigation, to say out loud. While it is true, the police will never show their hand, and there is a reason for that. I do not believe that that's what's going on here. I really don't. That's just my opinion. Lancashire Police and Senior Investigating Officer DSI Rebecca Smith has been gaslighting the public to such an extent that a sizable minority doubt Nicola's very existence altogether, believing instead that she's an elaborate fraud, as implausible as this even sounds, that it's a psyop. Articles in the media have been published to this effect. This cannot be allowed to continue. Lancashire police have tried every deception possible to persuade people that no crime has taken place. No crime scenes, no forensics, no reconstruction, and only a small attempt for show purposes in investigating what led to the death of Nicola Bulley. Lancashire police must be investigated for corruption and the complicit role that they have played before any controlled third parties now actively involved as part of an alleged review process can be allowed to complete this cover-up. Let's not forget, Nicola Bulley had 2 young daughters. When they are grown up, they deserve to know the truth about what happened to their mother. And at the very least, what we can do, what you can do, There is a petition that you can sign on change.org titled Justice for Nicola, What Happened? A New Investigation to Establish Truth. The link to this petition will also be in the description box below. I'm ready for anyone to answer the questions that I have listed within this video. As I said, this video is part of a series, so I will be putting another one out as soon as I compile it. It may not be, super visually entertaining, but the information within it, just listen. Just listen to what I'm saying. And then, of course, develop your own opinion, do your own research. That's it. I want to get to the bottom of this, and I think we will. I will talk to you guys on the next one. Have a great week. Stay happy, healthy, safe, and always stay unapologetically you.